Rakshasas are born on the material plane, but they are not of it. They possess the powers and shapes of fiends, but their fates are tied to the mortal world, and it is there that they seek to rule. The reincarnations of manipulators, traitors, and tyrants obsessed with earthly pleasures, Rakshasas are the embodiments of the very nature of materialistic evil. After dying violent deaths, these spirits are so tied to the world of decadence and selfish concerns that they take shapes to better reflect the baselessness of their lives and are reborn as fiends. Thus have sages come to know these beings as the earthbound evils. While there are many different types of Rakshasas, from the lowly Raktavana to the powerful Maharaja, the most commonly encountered members of this race are not known by any other name. They are more powerful than some members of their kind and less powerful than others, and represent the ideal midpoint between servitor and master. These Rakshasas can be recognized by their animal heads, those of great cats, snakes, crocodiles, apes, and birds of prey being the most common, and of course, backward-facing hands. Feral traits and strangely reversed joints are a hallmark of all types of Rakshasas. In fact, features that most Rakshasas can hide through their supernatural ability to change shapes or by means of powerful illusions. A Rakshasa cannot impregnate another of its kind, and so new Rakshasas come into being via the coupling of Rakshasa and a non-Rakshasa, rarely that of two non-Rakshasas. A Rakshasa born to non-Rakshasa parents generally only occurs when one or both of the parents commits a great evil during the mother's pregnancy, allowing the disembodied spirit of a previously slain Rakshasa to reincarnate into the world by usurping the unborn offspring's body. Rarely, such blasphemous births afflict good or innocent parents, typically in cases where the parents are exposed to great evils beyond their control. A Rakshasa grows to maturity more quickly than a human, and often functions as a fully grown adult earlier than the age of 14. Despite this quick maturation, a Rakshasa can live for 500 years or more before dying, at which point it seeks a new host to be born in, continuing the vile cycle of fiendish reincarnation over and over again. Rakshasas believe that each and every creature in the universe has a proper role to play, and that success comes from understanding one's position and working to improve it. Rakshasas don't see castes as good or evil, but rather as purely pragmatic. Creatures of a higher caste should be respected for their great power, and those of a lower caste should be pressed into willing service to expand the holdings of those higher castes as their betters seek greater wealth and influence. There are 7 castes in Rakshasa society, from the lowest to the greatest. Pagala, traitors. Goshta, food. Adahara, novices. Dashaka, servants. Paradishi, Rasha kin. Hakama, lords. And Samrata, lord of lords. The Rakshasa caste system encompasses not all of Rakshasa society, but all of life, although only Rakshasas can attain stations of Dashaka and above. While Rakshasas are forced to admit that the gods have powers greater than their own, most Rakshasas scoff at the concept of divinity as a whole. The gods are among the most powerful beings in existence, to be sure, but too many examples of powerful, ambitious, or merely lucky mortals attaining divinity exist for the Rakshasas to pay religious homage to such creatures. Rakshasas see their own transitions from mortals to otherworldly beings as marks of their own fathomless potential and the initial steps to the path to godhood. Thus, as a race, Rakshasas deny the worship of deities, although they may welcome alliances with servants of such peerlessly potent beings when it serves their own purposes. The skin of a Rakshasa is remarkably resilient to physical damage. It's able to ignore or greatly reduce weapon attacks. Only holy weapons are capable of piercing this skin, however, and can reach the Rakshas's vitals and do significant damage. As a result, in lands where their kinds are well known, Rakshasas take great pains to disguise themselves with magic when they are among enemies. Dandasuka. This small creature looks like a well-dressed and jewelry bedecked fiendish gnome. Its face is mostly a mouth and fangs. Dandasukas are known as biters among Rakshasas and serve as spies and assassins. They often appear as a part of a Rakshas's retinue or secret network. Born to manipulate and murder, they revel in their work and delight in the sight of blood. Thus, Dandasukas go about their work cheerfully, laughing as they manipulate their foes and butcher victims. All Dandasukas are restless and energetic. They crave activity and entertainment, preferring the sick and cruel to the conventional fare. Dandasuka pranks are rarely amusing for the victim. Monstrous hunger gnaws at the hyperactive Dandasuka's body, making the creature crave humanoid flesh and blood. When such blood is spilled, a Dandasuka is often not able to contain its fiendish appetite. It might lick a bloody blade, lap up fallen drops, or even take a bite out of a fallen foe at the expense of a more tactical sound option in a fight. A Dandasuka settles for other meat when it must, but it always prefers humanoid flesh. Murder and mayhem are not the only duties of a Dandasuka. Stronger Rakshasas dispatch Dandasukas as emissaries and servants to allies. Despite their unusual disorderly habits, they bargain good-naturedly and in good faith, only implying dire consequences for non-compliance. Dandasuka negotiators efficiently take care of impasses if no favourable resolutions can be reached. Similarly, Dandasuka retainers serving Rakshasa allies curb their fiendish ways as best they can, though their employers still do well to keep them amused and fed. One has to be careful of keeping Dandasukas too pleased, however, since they are known to take unwanted initiative because of offhand remarks, such as an idle wish that a certain person were dead. Dandasuka greed extends from amusement and food to wealth. All Dandasukas love comfort, fine clothing, and shiny baubles. Most of them wear as much jewelry as they possibly can without looking ridiculous, and some cross that line. A Dandasuka is 3 feet tall and weighs 55 pounds. Maharaja. Impeccably dressed and bedecked in exotic jewelry, this fiend holds an ornate saber in its backwards-facing hands. All Rakshasas aspire to power, but there are those for whom this hunger is more of an obsession. It's a birthright. Legends among Rakshasas tell of Maharajas, those Rakshasas whose depredations and acts of cruelty have elevated them above their kind and allowed them to reincarnate as the embodiment of every myth, fable, and cautionary tale involving the beast-headed fiends. Accorded the respect and deference of their lessers, Maharajas inspire one emotion within the Rakshasa race that few can: fear. A Maharaja Rakshasa emerges only after a Rakshasa of great power and influence has spent several lives as a member of the Samrata, the height of the Raksasa's social spiritual caste system. When a Rakshasa ascends to Maharaja status, others of its kind take notice, with Rakshasas coming from far and wide to serve even a young Maharaja, eager to curry its favour at an early age. The birth of a Maharaja denotes that a great change is imminent. The Maharaja will fulfill some terrible destiny, found a lasting nation of Rakshasas, undo some manner of divine ascension, or defeat some greater foe and command its domain, often splitting the region into large enough chunks for its lieutenants and servants to claim, and still have room to expand. It is rare in the extreme for more than a handful of Maharajas to emerge in the same century. So great is the Maharaja's power and influence, and so long is its life, that it can spend most of its time enjoying the luxury of its years of toil. When not manipulating armies or the machinations of lesser Rakshasas, it can often be found surrounded by the most beautiful of its servitors, often charmed or dominated humanoids, Or, if the Maharaja is powerful enough, good aligned outsiders and creatures, lounging in opulence. The lair of a Maharaja is typically a glorious, decadent mansion. After decades or centuries of work, gold filigree decorates the columns, and great mosaics embossed with Rakshasa myths and folklore decorate the walls. Rather than couches or divans, luxurious pillows stuffed with exotic feathers and crafted from the hide of even rarer creatures serve for furniture, and all about hangs the trophies of a centuries-long life of tyranny, the crowns of defeated rulers, the wealth of ruined countries, and the heads of failed lieutenants. A Maharaja's great experience in power, however, does not make it immune or ignorant of threats. Disloyal servants, powerful kings, ambitious rivals, and meddling adventurers all step forth to challenge the Maharaja's rule. To that end, a Maharaja employs devious methods to ensure its own safety, with assassinations, false rumours, and illusionary doubles serving as useful tools to ferret out threats. Wary of attacks, and often with wide territories to control, most Rakshasa Maharajas have several secluded palaces and lavish redoubts, and travel among them endlessly. Marai. This finely robed and nimble fiend has 6 colourful vipers in place of arms, and a long forked tongue in its fanged mouth. Marai are deviant spellcasters first, and fiendish corruptors second. If allowed to indulge in their desire for perverse mystical study, most Marai are content to serve as part of another Raksasa's cabal. A solitary Marai might pose as a neophyte magician to infiltrate another spellcaster's abode. If the Marai is successful, the master soon becomes either a servant or a corpse. The possibility of new magic discoveries drives the Marai. Morality and compassion never constrain the fiend's experiments. A Marai prefers to torment and exploit mortals who have no idea of the Raksasa's true nature, and it takes great pleasure in using magic that might bring would-be heroes, especially those that invade its lair, to their knees. Such a game offers a Marai enjoyment, however only if its subjects are unaware of the danger, or at least unable to oppose it. A Marai is 6 feet tall and weighs 160 pounds. Its serpentine arms render fine manipulation or wielding weapons unfeasible, so it typically assumes a humanoid form when working on experiments that require manual dexterity. A Maharai unable to do so will usually rely on cantrips like Mage Hand for such tasks, or perhaps the aid of a slave or charmed ally. Raktavana. What first appears to be a bejeweled blade shimmers and writhes, transforming into a hideous red-eyed serpent. Made up of smoke, blood, and gold, Raktavanas are among the least of the Rakshasas. They are born not from humanoids, but from souls of Rakshasas who have failed utterly in their previous incarnation, and who are thus reborn from a serpent's egg. These terrors drift through society, passing from hand to hand as weapons or as strange tokens from a foreign land. Curiosities brought home by traders and emissaries, and given to leaders as tribute. In this manner, Raktavanas gain entry into corridors of power throughout the world, and what they see their foul masters know. A Raktavana's servitude to its master only ends when the master decrees, or more commonly, upon the master's death. Little disconcerts the Raktavanas more than having no master. When they are cast adrift in this manner, they seek a replacement as soon as they can. It is possible for a Raktavana to become a familiar for a wizard, usually of a lawful evil alignment. Tatakar. This towering blue-skinned woman has backwards-facing hands and a feral animal-like visage with exaggerated features. Tatakar Rakshasas are the least subtle and the largest of their kind. They are philosophers and fanatics, loyal servants of Rakshasa immortals. Their familiarity with religion and its trappings makes them excellent corruptors and blasphemers. Such Rakshasas might assault sacred sites or rituals directly so as to foil good work and slay holy people. A Tataka holds all religions in contempt save for the worship of Rakshasas, and openly mocks and assaults any who dare believe otherwise. Tataka Rakshasas are more than zealots though, and they train from an early age in martial arts. Their strikes can break bones as surely as any unarmed strike from a monk or other practitioner of such styles of combat. A typical Tatakana is 12 feet tall and weighs 1,300 pounds.
Check the description of this video to find some stat blocks for these unique monsters for your next 5th edition game.